Hello YouTubers, welcome to Big Buddha is Watching. I'm Big Buddha, and today I'm just going to do a video that I'm going to call Lovefilm a Lament. Um, what this is about is basically I've been a loyal customer of Lovefilm DVD rentals now for 8 years. I think I'm trying to work it out. Well, it'll be about 8.5 years. I think I joined in about, it would have been early 2009. I only think that because I can remember where I was living when I joined Love Film, and it was somewhere that I only lived for about 12 or 13 months, and I'm pretty sure it's towards the end of then. So about February, March, April 2009, I would have joined. Um, and I'm pretty sure the first thing I ever rented was There Will Be Blood. This blew my mind. Okay, the reason I want to make this video and talk about what a shame it is that I think Love Film is going to be no more is because it really is, for a film fan, it really is the best movie service I've ever received in my life. It's the one I was waiting for. It's the one that's really fulfilled its promise that you want as a movie fan, more so than any other service that I've ever received. By service, of course, I mean, well, when I was young, all you had was television, obviously, and you were limited to whatever was being broadcast at the time. On the four channels we had available to us. Then video stores started opening up, and later on the blockbuster video stores with the most amount of, for the first time you could choose what you were going to watch that evening, but you were only limited by what you could get from the small rooms and the video cases that were that they had in stock at the time. And that was pretty much the norm, the TV and video, and it was really, if you had a wish list of what you wanted to watch, you were really limited by whether it was in stock or whenever it was broadcast on TV. And what I've always dreamt of, and I still dream of this as a service, is a service whereby you can get your hands on anything, whatever you want. I mean, I know technically we do have that now because, well, there's piracy, but that's a different argument. I try not to pirate anything really, because I think it does damage the film industry, and I think part of the reason we have so many safe bets made now in film and television, especially in film, everything's you only get money invested in things that are a sure bet, i.e. a sequel or a reboot of a recognised property. And the reason there's no risk taking really involved in film, or one of the reasons, is that there's just there's no there's no reason really for people to invest in risks when there are so many properties out there, and that's ultimately because there isn't as much money being made from films as there should be. And the reason there isn't as much money being made from films as there should be is that if everybody paid for everything that was pirated, there would be a lot more profit in the film industry, and there would be much more money to be invested in riskier projects, something that wasn't necessarily guaranteed to make money. And so that's the reason we don't really see as much risk taking, or the budgets that riskier properties really need to really fulfil their potential a lot of the time. That's the reason we don't see it, is because people are too eager to. It's just too easy to pirate stuff now and get it for free, and we're not willing to pay for everything that we watch. I will. I've only. I try to get stuff legitimately and at least pay for it somehow through, whether it's flat out renting it or paying or getting it through a service that I do pay a monthly subscription for most of the time. The one time I did resort to piracy recently was to watch Louis, just because it was a series I wanted to see, and whoever makes these decisions just wasn't meeting me halfway. There are no services on available in Britain to get Louis. It's not on Netflix, it's not on Amazon, and it's not on DVD. So the only course left open to me was to watch it illegally through a friend lent me a Fire Stick. So if they don't meet me halfway, then then I will resort to piracy. But on the whole, I do try and to pay for stuff legitimately, and I urge anybody watching these videos of mine to do the same. But I'm not going to get on my whole moral high ground. To each his own. And sorry, this wasn't meant to be a diatribe about video piracy. Well, this is meant to be. What I'm talking about here is services for watching films, i.e., legitimate services where you pay for what you watch. And what I want, my dream service would be something where I could just type in whatever I wanted and get it, and as long as I'm paying a monthly subscription for that service, then I should be able to get whatever I want, whatever TV show, from wherever around it's shown around the world, or any film ever made. I don't see why in this day and age I can't have whatever I want beamed straight into my home. We're not quite there yet. We're still limited to whatever Netflix wants to put up, or the BBC on the iPlayer, or Amazon TV, or on Prime, or whatever. However, the service that I've ascribed to in my life, the one that's come closest to that model for me has been Lovefilm, and that's because when the DVD revolution happened, i.e. when DVD came along and superseded VHS, it was one of the greatest revolutions for the film fan that has ever happened. I didn't get DVD at first. I thought, well, what's the big deal? I can watch films on VHS. What difference does it make if I'm watching them on VHS or something that just looks like a CD? And everyone say, well, no, the quality, the picture sound is so much better. That's never really been a draw for me, because you can watch Police Academy 4, for example, with and it can be the finest print of Police Academy 4 you've ever seen. You can really hear every joke and every sound by Motormouth Jones, and the film could look pristine, and it could have the best 5.1 sound and ever, and the it's never sounds so crisp at the end. At the end of the day, you're still watching a turd of a movie. It's not going to make Police Academy 4 suddenly a good movie, no matter how it's presented. So that's never really been a draw for me, and that was never really the draw with DVD in the first place. However, I remember being round a friend's house, and and him putting a DVD on. He said, "Oh, let's watch The Thing." I wasn't the biggest fan of The Thing when I was younger. I'm a massive fan of it now, before you get the pitchforks out. But it took me a while to get The Thing at first because I just found it so repulsive and off-putting. But he put The Thing on, and then he said, "Watch this," and he flicked a switch on the DVD player, and all of a sudden I could hear over the film Kurt Russell and John Carpenter, and they were talking about the film and scene specific moments in the film. I was like, "Oh wow! So that's a feature on the DVD, is it?" "Yeah." "And is it just on this scene?" No, throughout the film." "Wow! Do other films have this option?" "Oh yeah, a few do. Yeah." "You mean I could get my favourite films and I could watch the filmmaker talk to me about the making of the film scene by scene, i.e., certain scenes that I've always wondered about, not just a sort of generalized 5-minute version of condensed synopsis of the making of the film that you might see on Wogan or something. Like you could really get as specific as that." "Oh yeah," and there's not. Yeah, lots of films like that, and not only that, there's documentaries and scenes that were taken out of the film, and blooper reels, and promotional paraphernalia. That all sorts. The sky's the limit. So I became a DVD addict after that. I thought, right, this is the format that was invented for me. The film fan, the guy that was interested in the minutiae of the filmmaking process. The DVD revolution was the revolution that was made for me, because for the first time in cinema history, you didn't just have the film. For the first time, the film industry was able to document itself almost, and there was just a proliferation of retrospective material, and DVD special features almost became as important as the filmmaking process for a while. They're kind of waning now as the DVD boom has been superseded by the digital platform boom. And I feel it's a shame because the digital platform boom really could have taken the mantle of this fan based film fan. What am I trying to say? It could have carried on what DVD was doing. I always thought, why couldn't you have a special features option on Netflix? Why couldn't you have on Netflix, as well as the film, why can't you have everything that's on the DVD, the commentary and the outtakes? I know it's not for everyone, but you don't have to click on the special features option. It's just there as a little curiosity if you want it. Where I'm going with this is that off the back of the DVD revolution, as well as it being as film being able to document itself, there was a rush to supersede VHS, because there was such a demand for it, and so everything got released on DVD. I'd say 90% probably of everything that's ever made is available now on some digital format, be it DVD or Blu-ray. And what isn't available is that's usually down to the fact that it no longer exists anymore, sadly. So the DVD rental service is the greatest service I've ever experienced, because the way Lovefilm works is you search for something you want and you create a list, and you can it appears in alphabetical order. Rent. My list is currently 750 films long. in 8 years, I think I've only watched 250 films or TV series, or rented 250 discs or something like that. So potentially, I had quarter of a century's worth of entertainment maybe there, and that's if I stopped renting today. But it was a noble thing to try and get through. I made a decision with a couple of my film guides, my Leonard Maltin and my Stephen Shewer film guides. I went through and I actually spent a few days cataloguing every 4-star movie that they ever, their star rating was 4 out of 5, not 5 out of 5, and so I catalogued all these films, and I then went through and I went about renting as many as I could find of these films. They weren't all available. I'd say probably only about 60% of them, especially the Stephen Shewer ones. There was some really obscure stuff in there. But still, I think that equated to something like 400 films. I also went through Mark Cousins' 16-hour epic documentary, The Story of Film, and rented everything that he mentioned that I could get my hands on. So my list is 700 films long now. I'm not going to be able to watch 700 films in the next 7 weeks as much as I'd like to try. So yeah, that's how it would work. You'd make a list if you wanted, and you could either just leave it as mid-range priority, which meant you would get a random selection from that list, or you could, if you really wanted to watch something, you could click it onto high priority. So you could essentially get everything you want. All right, it's not instantaneous. You had to wait a few days, but like I say, that until that service appears, until whatever I want ever appears instantaneously, and I've paid for it, that's important. This is still the best service I've ever experienced. And so I think it's such a shame that Amazon is ditching this service. I've seen it on the cards now for a while. Funnily enough, it has gone the same way as Netflix, and when Netflix started, that was a DVD rental service, and then it's slowly but surely on the website you got films streamed directly to the website, until it got to the point where it just became purely films on the web streamed directly to the website, and they ditched the rental service altogether. It was a slightly similar story with Amazon. Amazon, I think, initially started to bring out its own streaming service, but it was very limited. Then it bought up Lovefilm as well, but you could kind of tell they were moving more and more to the streaming service. The thing is, like the Blockbuster video service of the past, you're only limited to what's on there. All right, there's a lot of choice, there's more choice than I ever thought was possible. But if you want to watch something specifically, as I often do because I want to review them for this channel, then you're hampered. You can't always guarantee it's going to be on there. In fact, more often than not, it's not going to be available to you. So it's a lesser service. All right, it's instantaneous, but it's only instantaneous if they've got it, if it's up there. So to my mind, that's why it's a lesser service. It is, but this is the way of the world, the inferior services always seems to beat out the better service. Betamax was a better product than VHS, but it was more expensive. But Betamax had better visual and sound quality. The same with Laserdisc, better visual and sound quality, but they were bulkier, and DVD were cheaper to produce to a mass market, so it beat it out. I see the same with this, with Lovefilm and Netflix and Amazon. You know, they're an inferior service, but for some reason, um, you know, it just beat them all. Um, but I do feel it's a mistake on Amazon's part to ditch the service altogether. Um, I mean, just because something doesn't have the mass appeal that it did once have, I don't think that's reason enough to scrap it. I mean, isn't the whole idea behind Amazon in particular that it caters to niche tastes? You know, whatever your niche, you know, whatever particular little obscure thing that you're into and you alone and no one else is. You can get it on Amazon. Isn't that the whole idea, the whole ethos behind Amazon? So why get rid of Love Film? You know, it still has plenty of members as far as I can see, and there are still people like me out there who use this service. So why aren't we being catered for? You know, when we've stuck with it, this is what we want. The reason we've stuck with it is because I'm guessing that there are people out there who, like me, think it's a superior service to Netflix or Amazon TV itself. Oh, there you go. I think the 31st of October 2017 will be a sad day that that will live in infamy, at least in my house. I mean, not to worry, because you know, on the 1st of November 2017, I will be joining cinemaparadiso.com, which, as far as I can see, is exactly the same service. It's slightly pricier, but hey, oh, there you go. I mean, maybe they're secretly owned by Amazon and they're not telling. It's just a way of getting a few more quid. But from what I can see, there are a lot out me who are migrating over now that Lovefilm is going the way of the dodo. So you know, it's not as if I'm not going to be able to be catered for. You know, it really would be a sad day if Lovefilm was the only DVD rental service out there still going. And then it would be no more. I hope that day never comes. I really do, because well, I'm just repeating myself now. You know, the finest service for a film fan that I've never ever known in my life, and a big mistake on Amazon's part to ditch it, if you ask me. But there you go. Anyway, that's thanks for sticking with me, as I'll get down from my soapbox now. And as ever, this just remains for me to say, this is me, Big Buddha, signing off, and I shall see all you folks out there in YouTube land, but probably not on Amazon.